Maria and welcome to SC Global News. From the emotional courtroom scene that unfolded in Cherokee County Superior Court, where a Georgian widow forgives her husband's killer, to a news report that shares the data of vandalism across Christian churches in the US, we have many stories to cover. In a remarkable display of grace and compassion, a Georgia woman forgave and hugged the man responsible for her husband's death during an emotional court hearing. Regina Johnson embraced Joseph Tillman, who pleaded guilty to killing her husband Chuck Johnson in a hit-and-run. During the heartfelt moment, she told Tillman she forgave him and reminded him that God loves him. The act of forgiveness moved everyone in the courtroom. Even the judge remarked he had never witnessed anything like it. Let's have a look at this emotional turnover of faith. On August 7, 2025, the Cherokee County Superior Court witnessed something extraordinary, something that even amused the judge, Tony Baker. During the sentencing of a hit-and-run case, Regina Johnson shared a tearful embrace with Joseph Tillman, who killed her husband. The Georgia man was sentenced to 20 years for killing 78-year-old Chuck Johnson in a hit-and-run last year under the influence of nitrous oxide. Regina embraced the man, who pleaded guilty to the charges related to her husband's death, as captured in footage shared by an Atlanta news station. Regina wrapped her arm around the neck of the emotional defendant Tillman and held him for several seconds. During the embrace, Regina quietly told Tillman that she forgave him, according to WSB TV. In response, Tillman, red-faced and tearful, repeatedly whispered that he is sorry. Tillman also delivered an emotional apology during his sentencing. With his voice shaking, he said, quote, "I pray that you hear my heart when I say I'm truly, completely sorry," according to footage shared by Atlanta news station.
I've committed to the long road of making amends. I've entered rehab, embraced sobriety, and began the hard, humbling work of healing.
Regina later explained that she embraced Tillman because God told her that he needed a mom hug.
Joey doesn't know yet how much God loves him. Joey needs healing of things in his past, as we all do. That is our heart and prayer.
Tillman pleaded guilty to 3 counts of homicide by vehicle, along with charges of felony, hit and run, making a false statement, DUI, and reckless driving. A new glimpse into the abuses faced by Christians under the Giuliani regime has emerged as an Instagram video shows 2 Muslim men forcibly converting 2 80-year-old women suffering from Alzheimer's. The incident, reported to have taken place on August 10th, shows a Syrian man entering the home of the elderly couple and started introducing certain aspects of Islam in disguise of providing medicine. One of the women, in an unsound state of mind, is then coerced by one of the men into reciting prayers. The issue raises the safety of Christian women in post-Giuliani Syria.
A new glimpse into the abuses faced by Christians under Giuliani's regime has emerged as an Instagram video depicts 2 Muslim men forcibly converting 2 80-year-old women who were suffering from Alzheimer's disease. The video posted on Instagram on August the 10th shows videographer Ahmed Kadur and his associate, whom he claims is a doctor, entering the home of the elderly sisters. Kadur then proceeds to strike up a conversation with one of the sisters, who complains of chronic stomach pains. While providing advice for alleviating the pains, the doctor carefully changes the subject and begins discussing certain concepts of Islam. In a video that appears to be conspicuously edited, the elderly woman can be seen reciting Islamic prayers which establish allegiance to Islam. After the video went viral, some viewers accused the uploaders of removing the portion in which the woman was allegedly coerced into reciting the prayers. Other viewers commented that the elderly women had been deceived into accepting Islam and raised concerns about the safety of Christian women in post-Assad Syria.
The White House has announced a significant decision to constitute a task force to combating the growing number of attacks against Christians in Africa. The task force will work with Department of Justice and announced that the safety of Christians remains the topmost priority of Trump administration.
as the persecution of Christians in Africa shows no sign of abating. The White House has stepped up to address the issue by announcing its intention to work closely with the State Department to stop the killings once and for all. In an interview with Fox Digital, White House officials expressed their condemnation of the horrific slaughter of 49 Catholics by Islamist militants on July the 27th in and around a church in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. A White House official also mentioned that the Trump administration is seriously considering establishing a task force to combat the rising number of murderous attacks by Islamic State-allied groups against Christians in sub-Saharan Africa. The official added that the task force would work with the Department of State to document the number of Christians who are on the verge of being persecuted across the African continent. The State Department spokesman, who later appeared on Fox News Digital, emphasized that religious freedom for all people worldwide is both a moral and a national priority of the United States, and that President Trump will tirelessly promote this cause. Africa remains one of the most dangerous continents for Christians to live in. According to recent research by Open Doors, more Christians are killed for their faith in Nigeria than in the rest of the world combined. Anglican Bishop Wilfred Angbe was threatened, and some 20 of his parishioners were killed after he spoke out against the killings to a congressional committee in March.
As the much-awaited Trump-Putin meeting will take place tomorrow in Alaska, Ukraine, and the European Union are hardening their stance against Putin in a virtual Zoom meeting with the European foreign ministers, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that no Ukrainian land will be swapped to achieve peace with Russia.
Ahead of the highly anticipated Trump-Putin bilateral summit, the European Union decided to approach the matter cautiously after holding separate virtual meetings with President Trump and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The virtual call with Mr. Trump, conducted as a precursor to the bilateral talks, reportedly ended peacefully after President Trump agreed to the EU's demand that territorial issues be discussed with President Zelensky. The high-stakes meeting, scheduled for tomorrow, is expected to see President Trump broker a peace deal as the war that has ravaged the continent enters its third year. During the meeting, President Trump stated that the paramount objective was to achieve peace between the two warring sides in the United States. At the end of the meeting, the European Union echoed Kiev's call to include Zelensky in future negotiations. Volodymyr Zelensky, who has expressed willingness to participate in the summits, urged European leaders during the Zoom conference to oppose Russian President Vladimir Putin's proposal for land swaps in exchange for agreeing to a peace settlement. Zelensky also heaped praise on President Trump's and the Vice President's efforts to ensure Ukraine's inclusion in all peace-related discussions.
Pope Leo XIV returns to Castel Gandolfo for Assumption Weekend. The Holy Father has travelled back to the scenic hilltop town of Castel Gandolfo to mark the Feast of the Assumption of Mary, where he will celebrate Mass and will take place in the cooler summer weather over the holiday weekend. Pope Leo XIV has returned to the tranquil hilltop town of Castel Gandolfo to celebrate the Feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary and to enjoy a brief summer retreat. The Holy See Press Office confirmed that the Holy Father arrived by car on Wednesday afternoon ahead of the August 15 celebrations. Located just outside Rome, Castel Gandolfo has long served as a summer residence for popes. Pope Leo XIV previously spent several days there in July, during which he celebrated Mass at the parish of St. Thomas of Villanova, visited the Vatican Observatory, and met with local residents. The Pope is scheduled to return to St. Thomas of Villanova on Thursday, August 15th, to celebrate the Mass for the Solemnity of Assumption, a major Catholic feast and the highlight of Italy's summer holiday season. As part of the weekend's liturgical events, Pope Leo XIV will travel on Sunday to the nearby town of Albano, where he will preside over Mass at the historic sanctuary of Santa Marta della Rotonda. According to the Vatican, the Pope is expected to return to Rome on Tuesday, August 19th. A report released by Family Research Council on August 11th documented over 400 instances of hostility toward Catholic and other Christian churches across the United States in 2024. The report detailed a total of 415 incidents, including 284 cases of vandalism, 55 acts of arson, 28 gun-related incidents, 14 bomb threats, and 47 other forms of aggression. A newly released report by the Family Research Council has documented over 400 hostile acts against the Christian churches in the United States throughout 2024, revealing what the organization describes as a persistent and troubling trend of rising anti-Christian sentiment. The report published on August 11th recorded a total of 415 incidents, including 284 acts of vandalism, 55 cases of arson, 28 gun-related incidents, 14 bomb threats, and 47 other forms of aggression targeting primarily Catholic and other Christian places of worship. At least 20 hostile acts occurred every month in 2024, with June seeing the highest number of incidents at 49, followed by February with 45. On average, 35 incidents were reported per month. While the total is a slight decrease from 485 incidents in 2023, it remains significantly higher than previous year, 198 in 2022, 98 in 2021, 55 in 2020, 83 in 2019, and 50 in 2018, the year FRC began tracking such acts. The data suggests that churches continue to face sustained threats with religious freedom under growing pressure in American society. According to the report, in most cases, neither the perpetrator nor the motive was identified. However, some attacks appeared to be driven by hatred toward Christianity, others by financial motives, and some were attributed to youth engaging in vandalism as a form of destructive entertainment. Some of the most disturbing cases detailed in the report include a January shooting at St. Augustine Catholic Church in South San Francisco, where a man fired gunshots at the building, though no one was injured. FRC President Tony Perkins, a former chair of the U.S. Commission of International Religious Freedom, warned that these acts reflect deeper cultural hostility. He said, quote, "Religious freedom is seldom handed to the passive. It is claimed by those who exercise it even when a hostile culture says they may not." End quote. Geographically, the most incidents were reported in California with 40 hostile acts recorded. Pennsylvania followed with 29, while Florida and New York each saw 25. Texas reported 23, and Tennessee and Ohio had 19 each. The FRC's findings paint a sobering picture of the challenges faced by Christian communities across the U.S. as they continue to navigate an increasingly hostile cultural and social climate. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.